Now come to the euglenoids. Majority of them are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Instead of a cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called pellicle, which make their body flexible. So जो इनकी जो cell wall है, which contains protein-rich layer that is called pellicle, and it is flexible in nature. They have two flagella, a short and long one. दो फ्लैजिला प्रेजेंट होते हैं, एक शॉर्ट एक लॉन्ग. दो दे आर फोटोसिंथेटिक इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ सनलाइट. when deprived of sunlight they behave like heterotrophs by predating on other smaller organisms. अगर सनलाइट प्रेजेंट होती है तो दे act as a photosynthetic, but in case of absence of sunlight they also behave as a heterotrophic organisms and depend on smaller organisms for their food. Interestingly, the pigments of euglenoids are identical to those present in higher plants. So जो euglenoids में जो pigment है, it is similar to the pigment which is present in higher plants. और जो सबसे common example है euglenoids का, that is the euglena. Now come to the slime molds. Slime molds are saprophytic protists. The body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material. Under suitable conditions, they form an aggregation called plasmodium, which may grow spread over several feet. During unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium differentiates and forms fruiting bodies bearing spores at their tips. These spores possess true walls. They are extremely resistant and survive for many years even under adverse conditions. The spores are dispersed by air currents. So यहाँ पे जो important जो चीज़ है, that is under suitable conditions they form aggregation called plasmodium, which may grow and spread over several feet. During unfavorable conditions they form fruiting bodies which bear spores and they have a true walls. The spores are dispersed by the air currents. Now come to the protozoans. All protozoans are heterotrophs and live as predators or parasites. They are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. There are four major groups of protozoans. So जो protozoans हैं, they are heterotrophs and live as predators or parasites. So they depend on other organisms for their food. They are primitive relatives of animals. Basically हमने यहाँ पे इनको they have divided into four groups. First one is the amoeboid protozoans. These organisms live in freshwater, seawater or moist soil. They move and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia, that is also called false feet, as in amoeba. So जब अमीबा को जब अपना फूड कैप्चर करना होता है तो इट फॉर्म्स pseudopodia, that is also called false feet, and by the help of pseudopodia they capture their food. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface, some of them such as ant amoeba or parasites. So कुछ जो marine variations हैं उनमें जो shells हैं they contain silica. Examples are ant amoeba. The next category is the flagellated protozoans. जो earlier जो group था that was non-flagellated, that is amoeboid protozoans. Now flagellated protozoans. The members of this group are either free living or parasitic. They have flagella. The parasites forms cause diseases such as sleeping sickness. Example is the trypanosoma. Now ciliated protozoans. These are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of the presence of thousands of cilia. They have a cavity that opens to the outside of the cell surface. The coordinated movement of rows of cilia causes the water laden with food to be stirred into the gullet. Examples paramecium. Now the last one is the sporozoans. This include diverse organisms that have an infectious spore like stage in their life cycle. So in case of sporozoans, इनमें एक जो लाइफ साइकिल में जो एक स्टेज होती है spore like stage which have a capacity to infect other organisms. The most notorious is the Plasmodium, that is a malarial parasite which causes malaria, a disease which has a staggering effect on human population. So basically हमने यहाँ पे जो प्रोटोजोन्स हैं उसमें हमने चार ग्रुप पढ़े. द फर्स्ट वन इज द अमीबॉइड प्रोटोजोन, फ्लैजिलेटेड प्रोटोजोन, सीलेटेड प्रोटोजोन एंड स्पोरोजोन्स. यहाँ पे हमने प्रोटिस्टा के ऑलमोस्ट सभी ग्रुप कंप्लीट क्लियर कर लिए. फर्स्ट हमने जो पढ़ा था किंगडम प्रोटिस्टा में क्राइजोफाइट्स, नेक्स्ट डाइनोफ्लैजिलेट्स, देन यूग्लिनोइड्स, स्लाइम मोल्ड्स एंड द प्रोटोजोन्स.